That intro is really loud today. I don't know what happened. Hey guys, it is Raymond. You're watching RPadTV 3000. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. As many of you know, especially people that have known me for a while, I am of average intelligence on a good day. So new stuff like Web3 gaming, a little confusing to me. Thankfully, I'm bringing in a longtime friend who is very involved in the tech community, a big advocate of Web3. And also, this is my first international broadcast. So coming in all the way from Malaysia, let me change chirons, is my friend Joey Alarilla. And
Hey,
apparently this is you just brought it up, this is the 10-year anniversary of when
yes,
we
yes, yes.
first met physically.
We first met each other IRL in 2013 when you came back to the Philippines for a visit.
That's
That's also
right.
the last time I've seen you so far. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of like, wow, okay, it's 10 years. Maybe every 10 years we're gonna see each other.
Well, I hope sooner. I would love to go back to the Philippines. I would love to check out Malaysia, where you have been living for a few years now.
Salamat
Uh,
pagi from Malaysia. That means good morning. Although, yeah, it's 11 a.m. It might
ah,
be considered good afternoon. Or,
it's
yeah, but anyway, yeah,
almost lunchtime then.
yeah, yeah.
So let's start with some basic info. Oh, we are going to talk about Web3 gaming. We're also going to talk about Joey's experiences as a Filipino living in Malaysia. And
Uh,
last but not least, we're going to talk some Blackpink. So
Oh yeah, definitely not least.
definitely not least. So let's start with some basic info first. How would you define Web3 in a really basic sense?
Basic manner, yeah. So actually, Web3, the term itself was coined by Gavin Wood in 2014. It's a
Oh,
very recent, yeah, term. He's actually the co-founder of Ethereum, which is one of the blockchain networks. Okay, so let's not go into blockchain because that's really a different, but blockchain technology is one of the building blocks for Web3.
right.
Simply put, Web 1 was the original internet, the original web that we all, the dial-ups, the dial-up stuff we started out on. Web 2 would be social media, so that's the Facebook and Twitter era of the internet. And now Web 3, we are moving towards what we call the decentralized web, wherein it's sort of like, in a way, some people are actually saying, for instance, the founder of one of the co-founders of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, was saying that it's actually a return to the original spirit of Web 1, wherein it's peer-to-peer and the power is with the users rather than just a few big companies, what we like to call big tech. So yeah,
Right.
that in essence is what Web 3 is. It's enabling you to decentralize the internet.
Why was that the clearest definition of Web3 that I've ever gotten in my life? I
It's
mean,
a very simple, I guess, basic one.
well, I mean, everyone talks about it, and I think some people make assumptions that you know a certain amount of things that build upon Web3, or that Web3 is built upon, rather. And a lot of people don't. So I really appreciate that explanation. That actually,
Oh, no worries, man.
I think that clears things for a lot of people that are hopefully listening to this live or on the replay. Now, you and I met in the context of video games. I think I was
Yeah,
working for GameSpy at the time. Now, what do you think Web3 does for gaming, or what is even Web3 gaming?
yeah, that's a very, very good question. And like I was telling people, because you're right, Web 3 is one of those things that means a lot of different things to different people. So in other words, you enter it via different, shall we say, different pursuits. In my case, it was my love for gaming that led me to Web 3 because I was interested in how is it going to change gaming. So
Oh,
some people enter obviously, and it's very negative, right? Some people go into Web 3 because of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ether and all these meme coins, right? Like Dogecoin and all that. So that those are their interests. Some people go into Web 3 because of NFTs, right? Wherein
right.
it's about art. So they're collecting all these bored apes and all that, right? Which is bored apes is quite mainstream because you have people like Snoop Dogg, right, or Eminem who are heavily involved in it. But in my case, it was like, when I found out about the technology, it's like you and I, man, we've spent so much on gaming over the years, right? I don't even want to know how much we've spent buying the games, buying the consoles, maybe buying the DLC
Oh
skins,
yeah.
etc. All these things, right? They add up. But the thing is, um, we don't own any of these things. And when we level up our character, once we turn off the game, everything that we earn for that character, whether it's the virtual currency, whether it's the armor, everything, right? It's not ours anymore. Okay, maybe you could sell it on the secondary market for some certain games, right? The DLCs, the skins, etc., like that. But generally, unless you're a professional gamer, you don't have anything to show for all the time and effort and money that you spend on games. So Web3 changes that by allowing players to actually own the game assets. So, for instance, in a Web3 game, let's say it's a Web3 RPG, um, your character is not just a some character. You actually buy that character as an NFT, meaning you can do it's yours if you want when you level it up, when you equip it with armor, which all these other things which are also NFTs. Then you could decide to sell it to someone, for instance, for a much higher cost than what you purchase it for, right? But more than that, okay, because that's really more for the for the people who just want to flip and sell items. But more than that is the possibility that you, as the gamer now, are actually a stakeholder, and that's the difference. Now, developers have to listen to the community because the community actually has input. It's like, hey, I'm a stakeholder, I'm a stockholder in your game. You have to take into account what we want, what direction. You can't just, in other words, we are not at the mercy of the publishers and the game developers anymore. The other thing is that you know how it feels when you love a game and then invest many years there. You and your friends have a lot of memories, and then suddenly the studio pulls the plug.
Yep, I know that too well.
Feeling, right? With the blockchain, with Web3, games are actually eternal in the sense that as long as there are people playing it, it doesn't matter if the company, the original game developer ceases to exist, etc. It's all there. It's eternal on the blockchain, and you and your friends own those characters, and you can just keep playing because the servers themselves are decentralized. They are being hosted on different nodes by different players. So those are some of the things that are changing the way gaming is. What gaming is now. These are the ways Web3 is revolutionizing, and we can talk, in more. I think I actually talked too much with that answer.
No, I love that answer. I thought that was great. I mean, a lot of people hear about these concepts and don't really know what it does for them on a practical level. So I thought that was a cool explanation of it. But I do think there is a problem with the people at the forefront of Web3. Yes. And I've seen you on social media call people out on this. There's almost kind of maybe a snobbery. I don't know if that's the right word for it, where the people that are big advocates of Web3 almost like they're kind of looking down on people that don't quite get it yet or not yet convinced. And how do you go about convincing people that have heard about Web3, maybe aren't sure what it really means? How do you get them on board? Because this is something that Web3 is eventually going to affect everyone with an internet connection.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. They're basically gatekeepers. And the funny thing about it is that we're used to gatekeeping in the gaming industry, right? I was on several Twitter. Oh, they're not Twitter anymore, so they're X Spaces now. So I was on several spaces before. I was saying, how gamers are, and let's be quite honest. Let's be quite frank about it. A lot of gamers, traditional gamers, hate Web3. They hate blockchain. They hate NFTs.
Right.
The main reason being they conflate it with, they sort of see, they assume that it's something like play to win. And we hate play to win, right? It's not, but you have that negative image to overcome in the first place. So they're very suspicious. It's not even just because it's NFTs, but they're very suspicious of these certain gaming companies which charge everything, right? Everything is
Right.
now DLC, etc., etc. EA. Anyway, so um, and then you have gatekeepers, people who are, shall we say, they're the ones who first started out on Web3. They're the OGs that they call themselves as OGs for maybe, and they kind of are very protective about the space. It's like you
Yeah.
have access to the Web3 culture. You have to know our secret handshake. So there's that kind of mentality. Okay, and I was saying that it's like a collision of worlds, right? It's people who may not necessarily have been gamers before, but who became interested because of blockchain, Web3, right? And on the other hand, there are gamers who couldn't give a shit about, sorry.
No, go ahead
Pardon
and
my-
curse.
who
Totally,
couldn't- yeah,
totally
yeah, who
cool.
couldn't, give a shit about technology before, right? But now they're getting interested because, hey, yeah, like you said, it's coming, and games are becoming blockchain, whether you like it or not. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think that we're at that stage where, and you know how it was, man, before and until now, right? There are still the PC master race
Yeah,
people
yeah.
down on console gamers. Then when mobile gaming was new, then the PC and console gamers looked
Look
down on
down
the
on them. Yeah.
gamers. And then now that there's Web3, the PC, console, and mobile gamers are looking down on Web3 gamers.
Right.
So
Although I would say one difference is that mobile games have attracted a pretty broad and casual audience where
exactly.
Web3 is kind of heady. It almost seems like there's an elitism attached to Web3. I don't know if that's fair, but it's kind of there.
There is, in the sense that the elitism is stemming not from gamers, but it is coming from those who are really into the technology.
Right.
So, in other words, the elitism is there, but I would say, the other big factor is really that, like you said, there's all this jargon.
Yeah.
It's part of the elitism as well. It's like you have to know the secret language.
Yeah.
And let's face it, the original web was like that. It's
Yeah,
like
for sure.
IT, man, and you need to know how to do HTML and do the coding, right? So in a way, it was also it was like a form of elitism that, hey, I bothered to learn all these terms, I bothered to know the technology, then it should be as difficult for you as it was for me, right?
Right.
In a way, right? It's that kind of um, but no, things are actually easier now. So I believe that those of us who were kind of, and I'm not even, I'm actually a newbie. I just started out in Web3 last year. Um, but what I'm saying is that, yeah, I see both sides points, but you can't make Web3 mainstream if you are alienating the people you're trying to reach out
Exactly.
to.
Exactly.
And what I've found is that the best way to evangelize about Web3 is not to talk about it. It's like Fight Club, man. You just tell them what the benefits are. Because as a gamer, we don't really care, right? I mean, we don't really care about the specs of the PC or the console. We care about how will I enjoy the experience?
Right. It's not about the mechanism. It's about having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's also was my case before when I was starting out, when I tried to go into a Web3 game last year. And I was being told, oh, okay, but first, before actually choosing a character, you have to create a crypto wallet. And then to create a crypto wallet, you first have to, like, buy, so, and then you buy crypto, and then there's steps to buy crypto, etc. Those were things which alienated a lot of people last year. Thankfully, now it's a lot easier. Most games nowadays, when you sign up for an account, they create a wallet for you. So,
Right.
so things have become easier in terms of the onboarding, but it has to start also with the attitude of the people who are in Web3 to also make it, to talk like people,
Right.
like normal people. Yeah.
But even beyond that, there are some people that maybe they're not the most tech savvy, but
Mhm.
they already have negative impressions of
Mhm.
crypto, of NFTs, and they don't think of them as viable products, or even worse, some people only know NFTs from
Mhm.
scams.
Exactly.
So how do you, I mean, there's a big challenge there in terms of educating those people and bringing them in. I mean, I have no idea how to do that. What do you think?
Well, it's a fair. Every time people say, "Oh, all the media focuses on would be the scams, etc., etc." But then you have to be honest and say, well, there are a lot of scams. They're
Yeah,
not making things up. It's like, but having said that, we've overcome all these things. It was the same for the original web, man. When
yeah,
the original internet came out, it was all, oh man, the internet. It's where the criminals are. It's where porn is. Well, that's
right.
true, right? But but it's more than that, and it's human nature. These are all just every time there's a new technology, obviously the darker side of human nature will flourish there, right?
Yeah,
Same thing, man. We overcame this in gaming. Remember back in the days where people were saying, and until now, actually, right? They're saying that video games only promote violence. They're a waste, they turn people stupid. They're bad for our school children, etc., etc. So I would say that Web3 is just experiencing the same growth pains, the same negative impressions that any new form of technology was facing before.
right.
Before we're just using mobile phones to send SMS jokes and all that.
Yeah,
So people waste technology every time a new form comes along, and we just need to educate people. But having said that, it's true that there are a lot of scams, and that turns off a lot of people. It doesn't help as well that a lot of influential people do promote these scams, even knowing that these are scams.
right.
Um, Sometimes even celebrities, right?
Yeah,
And
like Shaq recently got in trouble. They're trying to serve him a subpoena for a long time, and they couldn't find him. Like, he's 7'2". How can you not find this? He's not. Yeah, he's in working at the TNT studio every week. Not very hard to find. So
yeah, man, it's like it's gonna happen. It's gonna get worse before it gets better because it's new. So
yeah,
on the one hand, people are really excited. It's like the gold rush. People are
yeah,
want to make money. I want to make hay while the sun shines. But at the same time, there's also a lot of people who are afraid because of all the scams. So you will get early adopters who will lose and are losing a lot of money. It's just like, yeah, that's always the disclaimer, right? We say it's like investment. It's like stocks. Don't spend money that you're not willing to lose, right? So
right.
don't spend all your life savings. But having said that, I do realize, and I always say this. There's this term. I don't know if you're familiar with it. DYOR. Do your own research. That's always sort of the disclaimer every time anyone talks about Web3, blockchain, NFTs. It's like, okay, and it's funny because it could be an influencer on this YouTube blog going, oh, this is so great, this is blah 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 blah. But DYOR. So it's like the disclaimer that if you lose your money, hey, I was just presenting this as information.
Right.
Do the information what you will, but do your own research. Don't take my word for it, even though I'm promoting it like hell
Yeah,
and all that, right?
because
So
ultimately it's on you.
it's ultimately on you. And I do agree that, as consumers, we do have to do our own research. But at the same time, it should not be this lame ass cop out. We do have to be responsible as well. Those of us who understand the technology, those of us who are promoting it, we do have to be more responsible and find ways to educate people, because yeah, people really will. It's human nature. People will believe in things even if they're too good to be true, and there will always be unscrupulous individuals who will take advantage of this trust.
Is there a generational aspect to it too?
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
there are people that grew up with a certain type of technology, and when new things come out, they don't really get it. And people older than us, there's a good chunk of them that still are
Mhm.
confused by Web 1 stuff.
Yeah, I
So
know.
yeah. So what I mean, is it something that'll become ubiquitous as the people that are creating it and the people younger than them as they get older, and it just becomes the thing they have, the thing they interact with?
That's a very, very good question, Ray. And that's actually the change in mindset now. It's like, it's not even the millennials, it's Gen Z, right? That's the
Right.
generation of my daughter. Um, they really grow up on this, right? I'm not into Roblox, but of course Gen Z is really into Roblox, right?
Right.
So, even before Web3, it's already created a very, very different, um, shall we say, attitude towards digital money, digital currency. That
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that is simply like for. I mean, are you also Gen X? I'm Gen X, right? So
Yeah.
it's something that's very different from how we looked at analog before, right? As
Yeah.
analog money. And I read this piece before that even with millennials, of course, because the younger millennials are also in that, you saw it also, for instance, with the GameStop revolution, right? When they were like um, using Robinhood, this Web3 app, in order to this online trading app, in order to bet, and you saw the GameStop app stocks really rise in value, et cetera, et cetera. So you actually have this generation, this emerging generation, which is willing to sort of bet and lose a shit ton of money, right? And to them, it's like, well, it's kind of like it's not like it's not real, but it's like to them, it's money I can afford to lose in that sense, money I can play around with,
Right.
and they're willing to take that risk, especially those who aren't married, for instance, who don't have any family to support yet. So
Right.
that creates a very different attitude in terms of what kind of projects they will support. How will they approach Web3, right? So that's something that's very difficult to explain, for instance, to well, Gen X, older millennials, let alone boomers, right? And no disrespect, I'm just using the actual terms,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
generations. Um, it's difficult for people to have that mindset that, oh, it's money nowadays. Everything is just electronic, right? Even bankers were. I remember this. The president of this bank was saying, "Yeah, money is just data," and that's something most people can't wrap their heads around yet.
Right. Right.
We still think of money for a certain generation. Still thinks of money as cash, or maybe a credit card, maybe all these things. But to actually think of them as, oh, they're just data being transferred. So sometimes you lose the data, sometimes you get more data in that sense, right? But yeah, it can destroy lives, or it can be a life changing. So I think there's this aspect. But having said that, I do see it cuts across generations, because there are people like me who are old, but I'm really into the latest technology, and
Right.
that's me or something. I can relate more to them. And there are also some Gen Z who don't like Web3, or millennials who don't like Web3. There are some boomers who are really into AI, for
Yeah.
and
Yeah. For sure.
into blockchain. So what I love about Web3 is that it is, because it's decentralized. You can do whatever you want in that sense. You can be of any age. We had like this couple, just to share with you, how the lockdown hit the Philippines hard, right?
Yeah.
And people lost their jobs, or this couple, the old retired couple, they were just depending on their sari sari store, which is like our neighborhood store
Right.
in the Philippines, right? And so they didn't, the money, the revenue that they're generating for the store got reduced dramatically. But what happened was that was around the time that a game called Axie Infinity, just based on the blockchain, started becoming popular. It's a mobile game, and when you play the game, it's a lot of grinding, of course. But when you play the game, when you defeat the monsters, you earn this digital currency called SLP. You stack, you collect the SLP, and then you can then reimburse, in other words, convert it into real money. So
Right.
I won't explain the process, but you basically earn pesos by playing games. And because of
Oh.
that, you're actually able to, get money for their medicine, get money. It wasn't like, wow, a lot of money, but it was life changing. And that's something I also
That's
try to
cool.
explain, yeah, to people. Um, it's it's sometimes there are things, for instance, you're in the US, there will be things that will seem like small change right there, but for people, let's say in the Philippines, it's really earning what, let's say $100 is already a big thing, etc., etc. So these are the things, the nuances for Web3. It depends on generations sometimes, but it also depends on needs because Filipinos, I'm telling
Right.
you, we a lot of Filipinos are on board that they despite all the difficulties, they embraced Web3. It was very technical back then during the pandemic around 2020, but they learned because they had to. In the same manner, I think that us as gamers were willing to learn whatever it takes in order to beat that boss, right? Things that we probably wouldn't have done in class. If we put the same effort, let's say, in studying math or physics that we do in games. Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have a comment. I think this is one of your friends,
Oh, who's
Sif
that?
Croy.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's from Aswang
Uh-huh.
Aswang tribe, an NFT tribe I belong to in the Philippines.
Oh, that's awesome. Love your profile pic. That is very cool. I'm going to take us on a tangent before we move on to our next topic, but you mentioned Roblox as being something that you're not particularly into. Are there
Hmm.
any are there any games that you grew up with and loved that younger gamers don't know what the big deal is? Like for example, I'm a big JRPG guy
Yes, yes.
and I love games with turn-based combat, but some people, younger gamers, think this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. Like people don't take turns fighting, like you know, like I'm like they did in my day. You didn't hit someone until it was your turn. I don't know, but yeah, they look at stuff like turn-based combat, which I adore, and they just think it's like really antiquated and not fun at all. Is there anything like that in your experience?
I've always been into fighting games, so at least I'm still relevant. I mean, the fighting games have moved from platform to platform, right? My I won't say guilty pleasure. I always say that I don't have any guilty pleasures because if I like something, I like something. So it's so DOA forever, man. I don't care what people say about it. But I don't know. Every time I date myself when I say I really spent a lot of time on Age of Empires. I really love Age of
Ah,
Empires, man. And the thing is, I'm so old school that I stopped playing after Age of Empires 2. So I would rather
that was the
play
best. That was the best one. Let's face it.
play the old stuff rather than Age of Empires 3. And I believe there's already Age of Empires 4, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess, but I'm really to really date myself. I still love the original handheld of Nintendo. The do you know the Game and Watch, man?
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's my I really love it. I haven't found that kind of perfect form factor, for from Nintendo, and I'm glad that they revived it because back in the day, I got so good. I had my favorite game was Popeye, and so basically it's like he's catching all these cans from
yeah,
Bluto, originally Brutus, but
yeah.
Bluto, and so I got so good at it that I would play it, upside down to the consternation of my dad.
Oh wow.
So yeah, yeah. So those are the things. I think the main what I would say, and this is not to sound like back in my day, but
Right.
back then, developers intentionally made games hard because
Yes.
we were supposed to get the feel that our hard earned money, it was worth it, right? And the other thing, of course, was really technical, limitations.
Yeah.
So those 8-bit games were really tough to beat,
Yeah.
and I think that gamers nowadays kind of got, shall we say, they got used to auto saves, etc., or being to save anywhere, right? And can't understand the concept of dying.
Yeah.
Dead means dead. Back in the old days of the Famicom, so that's a different attitude entirely.
That's funny that you mentioned save points because I was talking to a friend that is our generation, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't stand RPGs where you can't save anywhere anymore." I mean, like going to a save point is stupid. It just feels normal to me, like you save points, but I don't know. And it's also funny that you brought up some guilty pleasure games and DOA being one of them, but I played the hell out of DOA beach volleyball.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everyone thought it was so silly. Britney's Dance Beat
Definitely,
was
but
another one.
but it's
So
fun.
yeah. Now let's do some plugging. Guys, if you like this content, enjoying my video, please like and subscribe. All my socials are down there. Please give Joey a follow on Facebook.
Thank you, thank you.
Check out Joey's site. I think people can infer what it's about from the
Yeah,
title,
yeah.
but I don't want to. I will let you talk about.
It's okay. It's okay. So I was, thanks, man. So CrabbyCancerChronicles.com. I launched this blog after I was diagnosed with cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer just this July 17. I finished my first chemo cycle on July 25. It's funny, man. It's extremely rare cancer. It's a lymphoma of the gastrointestinal uh, of the gut.
Yeah.
And it's like 1% only. It's so rare. It's only 1% of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh, wow.
So MEITL, it affects the T cells, which makes it rare. Which makes it rare. So I was going like, so doc, well, why did it happen? They just it's a genetic thing. It's like not necessarily inherited, not necessarily
Right.
passed on. Thank God, I'm not going to pass it on. But it's just one day your genes started mutating. So I was going, shit, I feel like the X-Men now. Because literally I am more that 1% of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer patients. So anyway, but I'm in good spirits, as you can see, and I decided to launch a blog to talk about it. Not just talk about my own journey, but I'm hoping that in facing it like this and sharing information, because I had to learn a lot of things,
Right.
really about cancer and chemo and how to take care of side effects and so all that. I'm hoping that the site, the blog could also be useful to other cancer patients and their loved ones.
Right.
Because cancer is not a journey you go through alone. I'm lucky I have a wonderful wife and daughter. I
Yeah.
have a supportive family and friends like you. So it's really if it takes a village to raise a kid, it also takes a village to help a cancer patient like me.
So I hope people check out your site, and people around the world are rooting for you. I'll be here from America rooting for you. And next topic is, you moved to Malaysia a few years ago. How long have you been there now?
Actually, I relocated last year.
Last year.
But yeah, but it seems like forever, right?
It does. I wonder if you.
Yeah, it's like just to backtrack a bit. So my wife has been with the company called Ericsson. It's a Swedish
Yeah.
company, leader in 5G, etc. So she's been there for many years. It's still the same role. She's handling a regional role for Southeast Asia, Oceania, and India. So it's the same role, but they decided, hey, you should relocate to our regional headquarters in Malaysia. So when
Ah,
she was asked to do that, so our daughter was already studying in the University of the Philippines, etc. So she decided to apply for one of the universities here. It's the campus of Monash. And she was accepted. So, and that's a big deal because Monash, sorry just for the plugging, it's the number 42 university in the world according to ranking. So,
that's
so
awesome.
yeah, so they decided to move in 2021, and they were saying, hey, maybe we'll go ahead before you do because they have to, right? And they were still, and I was gonna get, yeah, I already had my dependence visa, but the thing is, last year it was still the lockdown, so there were
Oh,
things that I had to do in the Philippines, etc., etc. So okay, so they were here for a year, and then I followed last year, and well, so far everything has been amazing.
yeah. What are some of your favorite aspects of life in Malaysia? What are you enjoying? Because from your social posts, there, it seems like you're loving life down there.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people aren't really familiar with Malaysia. So there's a lot of misconceptions about it. I remember some of my daughter's friends saying, "Oh, Malaysia, but how will the internet be there? I mean, what's gonna? Do they even have like?" So there is it's funny. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Grab. They're like the Uber of
Yeah, yeah,
Southeast Asia. They actually kick Uber's ass here. That's why.
yeah.
And they were saying, so is there Grab there? Can you even have food delivered? And then like, dude, my daughter was saying, it's a Malaysian company. It started out as a
Yeah.
Malaysian company. Grab started out. And oh, so it's good. They have Levi's there. They have so it's like what they don't understand is that Malaysia is actually one of the more advanced countries in Southeast Asia.
Very much so. I've
Yeah,
been to KL twice in the
yeah,
late 90s. I haven't
yeah.
been back since, but it
It's
was
a lot
amazing
more
city.
a lot more advanced now. So basically, I tell people, imagine it's like Singapore,
Right.
but the lower cost of living, and so it's like the Goldilocks country for me. It's as you get the most of practically everything that Singapore can offer, you can get here in Malaysia,
Right.
or a and this is shocking. This shocked me actually for a lower cost of living than the Philippines. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's actually a
Wow.
lower cost of living than in the Philippines. Um, so in terms of infrastructure, in terms of traffic, when they get antsy here, I mean, there's traffic here, but there's
Of
rush
course.
hours.
But not like Manila traffic.
Yeah,
Like,
I hear people get antsy when they're stuck in traffic for 10, 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh, sweet summer joy. Or when there's and the thing about Malaysia, it's blessed. There are no, because of geography, just like Singapore, there's no typhoons, there are no earthquakes, there are no volcanic eruptions. In other words, everything that's normal in the Philippines, there's nothing here. Um, we only realized how stressful life really was in Metro Manila when we were here already, because you don't have to worry about traffic, you don't have to worry about public transportation, you don't have to worry about not being able to get a grab. I
right.
mean, or a grab ride. So all these little things add up, and you feel like here, I don't have to worry about rushing home or rushing home to beat. In other words, I don't have to worry about if I were going to the office, which I'm not because I'm working from home. But if I were, having to wake up so early and leave so early just to get to the office, maybe on time because it's a stop there,
Right.
and then trying to leave the office either before rush hour or waste my time, trying to wait for rush hour to pass in order to just so I won't be stuck. So you spend so much time being stressed out, right, in the Philippines, in Metro Manila, not the whole Philippines, but in Metro Manila in particular.
Yeah.
So that's the main difference. What I also like about here is that even though, of course, it's a Muslim majority country, they're very tolerant in the sense that there are three major races here, of course: the Malays, the Malays, the Chinese, and the Indians.
Right.
And they tolerate it. They live in harmony. It's a land of mosques and churches and temples, and literally they could be side by side, and there's no problem with that. And people just accept it that it's just the way Malaysia is. You're free to worship, and you're free to. We even had a lion dance in front of the church. That was
Oh, wow.
so.
That's
So
cool.
I can't imagine that in the Philippines, for instance. Or there was this big. It coincided. The Chinese New Year coincided with the big Hindu festival. So literally,
Oh,
the Chinese lion dancers was also in front of the parade of the Hindu community, and there's no problem with that. So that's what I like about it. And also, of course, it's a very aside from being multi religious, it's also multicultural, multi ethnic.
right.
Um, it's
I think
it's
that shows up in the food. I thought was amazing in
food, yes,
Malaysia.
food,
Just the blend of East Asian, South Asian, Southeast Asian
yes,
ingredients really made something unique and delicious. I don't know. I
yeah,
a lot of people like saying Singapore is the place to eat, but I thought Malaysia was up there with Singapore in terms of
yeah. The
interesting
joke there
cuisine.
is that there's always been an age-old rivalry, of course, for friendly rivalry or not so friendly sometimes between Singapore. But they always quarrel about food. That's always the main quarrel. And the Malaysians will joke, our food is better because it's dirtier. I mean, street food should be dirtier. And in Singapore, of course, everything is. I mean, street food in Singapore, man. Their Chinatown is clean, man.
Yeah, it's
uh,
insane how clean
no
it
place
is.
before, right? What kind of Chinatown is that clean? Only in Singapore.
But yeah, I also wanted to ask you: is there anything that you miss about the Phil? I mean, of course, family and friends, but any aspects of life that you think the Philippines does better and that you miss?
Well, miss in the Philippines. I miss Filipinos. I'm not necessarily miss the country, but uh, how do I put it? I'll be as honest, as
Yeah,
I um, there are certain things about Philippine culture which I don't know, I've always been kind of different. So I actually like it better here. The kind of, because Malaysians are very friendly, but at the same time they're also more reserved than Filipinos,
Ah,
because sometimes Filipinos can be aggressively friendly. It's like even if you've just met, and I'm not knocking it, because I also like that aspect wherein Filipinos make you feel welcome, make you feel like you're part of the family.
right.
Uh, Instantly, like I just met you, but I feel like we're bonded, kind of thing, right? That doesn't happen here in Malaysia, so that's something I kind of miss. But at the same time, it also works for me, because sometimes I do get like like boundaries, man, in the sense that where we just met, you're asking me stuff that sometimes we're too friendly, overly friendly in the Philippines. But I do miss the Filipino food. Of course, we do have
Right.
it here. There's a very fairly large Filipino community here. We also have our sort of our own version of Lucky Plaza. It's called Kota. Sorry. Okay, I'm getting old. I'm kind of glad.
That's all
Yeah, we
good.
have a mall here where the Filipino community is. Anyway, so that's where sometimes my wife would tell me, "Oh, buy some pure foods, hot dogs,
Right.
and uh, gato puti, vinegar, etc., etc." But of course, here it's not like back home, and things are more expensive, obviously, since they've been. I mean, the Filipino items here,
Right.
Filipino
Right.
food.
Right. Now, from the outside looking in, I read a lot of things about how life is difficult for LGBTQ people in Malaysia. What have you seen in your experience? How much of that is true? And is that something that's changing or getting better, getting worse?
I don't really feel, shall we say, I'm in a position to really talk about that. But it's like there's a very active community here, and they've done a lot of work in order to get accepted and get allies. Okay, um, and that's why, to be really honest with you, that incident. I'm sure everybody knows about that incident. With the 1975. That really was purely, shall we say, selfish on the part of Matty Healy. That's my opinion, of course, because it's okay for you to say that when you don't have to face the consequences. And
Right.
I'm not saying it's because the thing is, it's really part of the religion here, and it's the majority religion. Okay, um, but the thing is, they were allowed to perform here, and they promised to abide by certain conditions. So if they really felt so strongly about the government being not to their liking, they should not have come here in the first place. They
Right.
should
I
have
agree with that.
invitation, the money, etc., etc. But to agree to sign that contract and then to suddenly do that on stage, very disrespectful. He actually destroyed a drone. He was drunk. In the first place, he actually had a bottle of wine with him
Oh,
in a Muslim country, right? I don't care what your beliefs are, right? But you respect the country where you are.
I agree.
It's just a simple thing as that. So even the members of the LGBT community here have been denouncing him, because what they're saying is,
He's
you
not
know,
helping.
you're
Yeah.
not, you're not an ally. You were doing that for your own selfish reasons because you
Right.
got pissed. There are some stories on why he got pissed. Something about his TikTok or whatever thing uploaded here. I'm not really sure, so I won't comment on that. But it's like he got pissed, he got drunk, and then he did that, pulled that tantrum, and
Right.
then it affected everyone. The concert was canceled, etc., etc. And the thing is, it's not it's like, how did you help the LGBT community when now it's like people are saying, oh, okay, even those who were sympathetic or at least neutral about them are now appalled. It's like, what? So this person who claims to support LGBT rights is that rude? It's that, in other words, he's now a bad reflection of the
Right.
people he claims to be supporting.
And what's worse is he created a negative situation and then left. So
And then, and
yeah.
then
So
and now
no responsibility.
I read something. I try not to read about it, but you see the headlines were saying that he doesn't give a shit about the white savior complex bullshit or something. But he really is, he really has that complex.
Right.
Um, anyway, that's all I
Yeah,
have to say.
that's totally cool, and I appreciate the honest answer. Now let's leave things on a positive tip for Filipinos and
Hmm.
Filipino Americans looking for a different country to move to. Why would you recommend Malaysia?
I would say it's because it's very easy to adjust to Malaysia in the sense that um, the different foreigners here feel that it's easier to get around because one, it's more laid back. In other words, I always go to compare. It's always a comparison between the Singapore and the Philippines. It's like always the Goldilocks country because you might find Singapore too stifling, too many rules, etc., and you might find the Philippines to be too chaotic.
Ah,
Malaysia is sort of the balance. You have all the convenience, of living in a very modern country, but at the same time appreciating the respect for tradition. In other words, when you go to Manila, you might think, okay, so what's different between Manila and any other, shall we say, modern city? What's so Asian about Manila, for instance? And I'm not saying don't go to Manila, because
right,
I help tourism. But here, it's really that they're really proud of their heritage, their cultural heritage, while also being accepting. Here, they're very chill. They don't, in other words, they don't expect you to, like, oh, you have to act in a certain way here as a foreigner, etc., etc. Just respect them, okay? Just don't be disrespectful of the country.
right.
At the same time, like you said, because there's a wide variety of cuisine here, everyone can find something he likes. If you don't like Malay food, try Chinese food. If you don't like Chinese food, try Indian food. And there
Right.
are different fusion kinds of fusion food. There's a very large Japanese community here. For 14 years, Malaysia has been voted the most popular country for long term stay by the Japanese. And
Ah,
there's about 24,000 Japanese living here. Many of them availing of what you call the Malaysia, my second home program, wherein foreigners can stay, qualified foreigners, because they're kind of their requirements, can stay for 10 years. So they avail of that. And yeah, there's a very, very big expat community here. It's almost like, you know, it's, again, it's compared, it's like Thailand, but less. And these are not my words, okay? But I see in the comments, it's like the next person. It's like Thailand, but less seedy than Thailand. It's in
right,
safer than Bangkok, like that. So
right.
KL in Malaysia in general, it kind of fits. It kind of suits a lot of different types of people.
So, as someone that lived in Thailand for a year, the sense I'm getting from you is that Malaysia is kind of like a maybe a more conservative but more diverse country than Thailand is. But
Maybe,
yeah,
definitely more conservative.
right.
But
But
at the
I
same,
definitely think it is more diverse because, as you said, you have the East Asian and South Asian influence as well,
mm, mm,
which they don't really have in Thailand. Thailand is more monolithic
yeah,
than
in
that.
that sense, yeah, the more homogeneous in that sense, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then it will surprise you because people think there's no nightlife, but
Oh
obviously
no, there
there's
is. Yeah, yeah.
nightlife here in Malaysia. But the thing, yeah, it's really like people. You can't see Malaysia as a monolithic place because there's really different people. There are conservative people. There are also more progressive people.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, the younger generation obviously is less conservative. So, and for the most part, you know, just do as you will, within boundaries. Here.
I'm sold. I'll see you. I'll see you soon. Like, it's
People,
getting a little crazy in America. I need to change your pace.
oh yeah, that's the other thing I was telling you. Here, the healthcare system is better, right? So I feel so blessed that I was diagnosed here because
Ah,
the hospital is not only one of the regional leaders in cancer care. The healthcare system here, thanks to the wonderful HMO of my wife's company, they not only take care of the consultations and hospitalization, but also the medical prescriptions. So I mean, It doesn't happen in the Philippines, and I'm sure.
Certainly doesn't happen here. I'll tell you that.
Right? So yeah, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of benefits. Of course, some of the benefits are just for locals, right? But I like that as well because they really make sure, just like Singapore, they make sure that citizens enjoy the benefits of their taxes and enjoy certain perks which are not available to foreigners.
That's great. I'll see you soon, man.
Am I? Should they make me an influencer now?
Yeah, I think you are now like the ambassador for Malaysia. Like, just get some. What was that program called that you were talking about? That 10-year program,
Yeah, yeah. The
second home.
Malaysia, my second home.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to look into that. Now, let us move in to the most important part of this discussion. We're going to talk about Blackpink. I learned you were a Blackpink fan. I've known that for a bit now. I only recently became a fan a month and a half ago or so. Tell me how you got into Blackpink. You said it was during the
Yeah,
pandemic.
yeah, yeah. It was in the pandemic. Actually, I already started enjoying their music when the first song I remember hearing, the first Blackpink song I remember hearing was "As If It's Your Last." And then I totally got a kick out of the fact that when I was watching, JLA, the original cut of Justice League, and then because, well, he who must not be named now, they who must not be named now, the Flash was supposed to be, Barry Allen was supposed to be a fan because the actor was also a Blink in real life. So I said, "Oh my God, this is so cool! It's a nice song, and now they're also in the Justice League. So wow, ticks two boxes for me. Great song, and then geek, right? And but I was just not really into them. But during the pandemic in 2020, when they made their comeback, uh, well, first of all, the pre-release with How You Like That,
Right.
and of course their first debut album, the album. So during the pandemic, I really got into them. Okay, as in, I think I'm gonna be transparent. I'm diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and of course the things really got worse because of the pandemic, right?
Of
And when I
course.
discovered them, they're I really love their music, but at the same time, I love their personalities. And so
Yeah.
I became I never thought I would be a K-pop fan in the sense that I would actually be not just listening to the music, but watching the
Their streams and everything.
series,
Yeah.
buying the merch, etc., the whole gamut, streaming, to make sure to break the records and all that on YouTube, and all that. So I was really into them, starting in 2020. Um, my bias, to use the K-pop term, is Lisa. So she's my favorite member, but I love
Yeah.
all four of them. But I really got into Lisa's story. There was a fan made video about her, and it just really resonated with me. Her whole journey, her story, that she really overcame all the odds because it was her dream.
Right.
K-pop star, and there was this little girl in Thailand overcoming the odds, literally beating 3,999
Yeah.
applicants, yeah, in Thailand when YG hosted an open audition there, becoming YG's first non-Korean trainee, and then later on debuting as YG's first non-Korean K-pop star, and then becoming, the most, let's face it, the most popular member of Blackpink.
Right.
Right, actually, just recently, she's the first K-pop star of any sorts, male or female, to be inducted into the Asian Hall of Fame. So I'm like,
I
wow,
saw that. Well, it's her, Freddie Mercury, and they had somebody else that.
exactly. She
Yeah.
joins Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible.
It's
And
incredible.
plus, as her time as a trainee, she didn't even speak Korean.
Yes,
Moving to a country, so
yes.
moving to another country at a young age is tough. Not knowing the language makes it even tougher, and
Yeah,
the amount of work those girls have to do,
yes. For
dancing and
yeah,
learning like 12-hour days at least. I
yes,
mean,
yes.
good for her. I mean, it
Sure,
is,
yeah.
like you said, an amazing story. I mean, what is it about Blackpink that makes it fun? I mean, I've heard other K-pop bands before. I think Wonder Girls was the first one that I remember.
Yeah.
But I didn't really care until, I mean, BTS was too big to not ignore, so you had to know about them whether you wanted to or not. But
Exactly.
Blackpink was the one that I got into it because a younger friend of mine
Mhm.
wanted to go to a show, which is actually next week here in Las Vegas.
On the 18th, right?
That's right. And she's like, "You're gonna like this music." I'm like, "You're out of your goddamn mind. I'm not gonna like this shit." And then I listened to it, and then I watched their videos, and I see their interviews. I'm like, these girls are a lot of fun. They're just
Yeah,
entertaining and fun. But what is it about them for you that makes them fun for
yeah,
you?
yeah. That's basically it. And also the other thing would be they're so diverse. It's
Yeah,
like, I mean, you look at the four of them. They're four individuals. You could tell right away. Maybe, yeah, I admit before I would get confused with the names, maybe, but I wouldn't get confused with the actual members.
right.
And maybe because there's four of them, but no, it's really because they have such distinct personalities, and they each have their own charms. So
Yeah,
it's not like and sometimes it's used to drag them, but I think it's their strength. There are four really powerful individuals who choose to become a group. It's
right.
like the Avengers or the Justice League, right? They're powerful on their own, but together they're more than the sum of their parts. And that's really what attracted me to them, and that's why also it helped because I watched Blackpink House. Have you watched it? You
Yeah,
should,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's really where um, well, obviously I got into it late, right? They were already big, but watching that made me realize, oh my god, what what they went through, right? Because on that show they were going like, oh, I wish one day we could like have our own concert. That was the first time they had a vacation, the first trip
Yeah.
to their holiday after debuting. They went to Thailand, and then we hope we'll one day have our own light stick and all these things, right? And
And then
that
look at them now. I mean, they headlined Lollapalooza.
they were so shy, and you saw how
Coachella. I'm sorry, Coachella.
yeah,
I meant.
and I've seen them evolve. So I actually wish I'd seen them from the start,
Right.
but um, but I think it was also a good time in the sense that you it was pretty hard, of course, for people who were there from the start because you had to wait so long, right, for comebacks. At least
Yeah.
we came on board. There's already a lot of
Yeah. There's tons of
discovery,
content for us to consume. Yeah.
you know. Um, so I think it was just the right time, and they came in a way. I would say I don't believe in coincidences. I think they came at the right time for me as well because they really helped me. I obviously I had therapy as well, and I have my meds. But being a fan of Blackpink also helped a lot
No, that's great. I mean,
in bringing me to a better place mentally.
there was a moment where after watching their videos and listening to their songs, I was in my car listening to their music, and then I recognize Jisoo's voice, and I'm like, oh, I'm a
Yeah,
fan now. I can tell their voices apart. Was there a moment like that for you, or is there a song that made you like, well, I'm a fan now? Like,
well, I was a fan of Lisa because of her rapping. So
ah,
yeah, so it was really the rap which got to me because although Jenny's actually, I mean, she's the designated main rapper and
right.
Lisa's lead rapper, but I just like the way she raps. So even from As If It Were Your Last, that's really what. And aside from her rapping, it's just the way she carries herself. It's her charisma.
Yeah,
So that's
she's charming as hell, and
yeah, yeah.
I think
So
she's the best dancer, Lisa,
yes,
as
she's the
well.
main dancer, and yeah. So in terms of vocals, of course, there's Rose, the heavenly voice of Rose, and
I like Jisoo's voice.
Jesus. Yeah, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
Jesus, your bias, is that it?
No,
Goodbye.
we'll do that soon.
Oh yeah,
There are a few more questions I do want to ask you.
sure, sure.
Um, favorite songs? Do you have what are maybe three or four of your favorite songs?
Uh, I would still go for D4. That's my favorite. mainly because it's still, I would say, their signature song. The one which really got them over internationally. It was their first big
Yeah.
international hit. And after that, it opened every door for them. But if a close second would be Pretty Savage because I really love I
Yeah.
really love the lyrics and third would be mm, it's actually it's funny. It's their least popular song in terms of YouTube views, but Stay. It's their ballad,
I
which
love Stay. That's one of my
right,
favorites.
right. It's a very nice message and a very nice song. Yeah.
Um, I'm with you on D4. I mean, it's so catchy. How
Mm,
can you not be into that?
yeah.
Um, I do like Stay and Don't Know What to Do because those
Oh,
are songs where I can see Rose playing by herself with a guitar,
yeah.
and I really liked musically. I think she's the most interesting one.
Mhm.
I'm jumping ahead, but uh, and I'm going to cheat and give a fourth. I like How You Like That. I like that song a
Okay.
lot. The video for D4 though I do find funny because there's
Yeah.
certain scenes where they're just like staring intensely. I'm like, is this like Twilight? What am I watching here? They're just like staring for no reason. It just seemed funny to me. But it's an early video, so I get it.
No, no, you should. Sorry,
No, no, no worries.
watch this on YouTube. You should check out. There's this guy Jordan. I can't remember, but just you just Google. He's actually he directs music videos. He's done so for
Oh,
Justin Bieber, etc., etc. And he breaks down every, not just Blackpink, of course, but he breaks down different Blackpink videos. So try to search for the one he did about D4 because he sees things that I miss, that we as listeners, as fans might miss,
right.
and makes us appreciate the music video even more because he focuses on the techniques that they use and how K-pop has this language that's really totally its own in terms of music video
Oh, so you
creation.
mean he examines the shooting style as well as the
Yeah, yeah.
choreography? Oh, that's cool. I definitely want
The,
to check that out.
how they do the techniques,
Yeah.
and you know how YG is. They don't like CGI,
Yeah, yeah.
like green screen, so they really, they really, that that scene at the end where there's something blasting behind them.
Yeah.
It really happened. They just put protective behind
Oh,
them.
wow.
That. So yeah, yeah, it's
Now,
crazy.
when you hear D4, do you do like the finger guns?
Yeah.
That gets me in trouble sometimes when I'm driving because like just it's my automatic reaction where I want to do the guns. I'm like, oh shit, I better drive.
Do you hear their story about that? That originally that wasn't the choreo, but
No.
Teddy was the one who created the finger gun choreo. So
Oh, that's
Oppa
cool.
Teddy was the one who suggested that. So yeah,
Wow. I can't now. I'm trying to picture Teddy doing it. I'm like, no, that
yeah.
looks weird. I'm picturing showing the girls how to do it, and I'm like, oh, I want to see that. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that one. Now, let's close things off with this, and let's go talk about the girls individually and what you like about them and what you think of them in general. Let's go with Jenny.
I'm sorry. Can I just?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, just gonna get
No,
something.
I am going to talk and look at this lovely gray background. Again, let's do some plugging here. Please, subscribe to my socials. I'm all up there. I honestly don't do anything on Twitch anymore, but I am active on X or Twitter. I guess I got to get rid of that bird logo now, since it no longer applies because of that electric car moron. On Instagram, Facebook, I'm all up there. Please follow Joey on Facebook. That's Joey G. Alarilla. I believe the G stands for Godzilla, but don't quote me on that.
It does, really does.
And please check out Joey's website,
Yeah,
crabbycancerchronicles.com. That's triple
yeah,
C. C3. Aha.
yeah. C3.
Now, okay, let's go down the girls, and I want to know what you think of them, what you like about them, starting with Jenny.
Oh, Jenny. Jenny's the it girl. Jenny's the one who is the most outspoken, the one who really, in a way, she's because Blackpink doesn't have an official leader, but she
Right.
definitely, she's the de facto leader, and you can trust her to sort of guide the other members. Yeah.
I think she has the biggest star potential out of all of them. I think she can be the biggest star, but it will take the biggest toll on her, and that kind of scares me.
Mhm.
She has some problems with her stamina and health on
Yeah,
tour,
yeah. Always been her. Yeah.
and then some of the choices she's made that I think are totally fine and creative choices, like her role on the Idol, that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
She got tons of criticism for that. I'm like, what? She's fucking acting. That's not what she is. I mean, like, I didn't see what the big deal was, but they slammed it.
Sorry. You know how KNETs are, the KNET sense, so it really shocked their sensibilities.
Yeah,
But it's HBO, so
yeah, exactly. Now let's move on to Rose.
oh, Rose. Rose is like always unintentionally funny. She's she always makes me laugh. She's the clumsiest, but at the same time, she's also she really is the most musically inclined.
Yeah,
Really beautiful voice at the same time. Really wonderful guitar playing and all that. Um, I see her going far in terms of being the one to really compose her own songs, write her own music, etc., etc. Um, Also, she's always eating. So
I can identify with that. I know what that's like.
I love the way she loves life. She's really unfiltered in her. When she likes something, she likes something.
I am a sucker for the female Australian accent, so I mean,
Mm.
I find that totally charming. As you said, musically, I think she's the most talented. I love that she plays guitar. I love those clips that she has online where it's just her in the studio singing a cappella. I think she also did a duet with Jisoo of that Justin Bieber song,
Mm.
Love Yourself,
Mm.
which was written by Ed Sheeran. But I think she can be like the Korean Taylor Swift, where it's just her and a guitar making really personal songs. If they give her that chance, because the K-pop machine is not really about that style of music. I hope she gets that chance, whether it's as a side project or life after Blackpink. Now let us move on to Jisoo. What do you think of Jisoo?
Oh wow, Jesus really. You know that she's the what do you call 4D in Korean, right? The one who's unpredictable in terms of personality. So
Ah,
it's she's like the mommy of the group because she's the eldest, right?
yeah,
And she looks out for everyone. She's the one who can't cry because who doesn't allow herself to cry, rather, because she has to be strong for the other three girls.
right.
So proud of them. Actually, the close, and she takes good care of them, right? But at the same time, even though she's the eldest, she can be like she and Lisa when they're together, they're like
It gets silly. Yeah,
yeah, Lisu, that's their ship
yeah.
name. They're the silliest. They're really the crackheads, to use the term on the internet. And so I like that about her that um, she's so caring, but at the same time she's there to she just has fun. She has no pretensions, and you know how dating scandals are a thing. I don't even know why there's such a thing in South Korea, right? But when the dating scandal about her broke out, an hour afterwards, she just goes, "Yeah, so we're dating. So so what?"
Yeah.
That's really how she is. She's so wonderfully down to earth and very humble, very 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 real person.
I like the mom aspect of her, as you mentioned. I think she has the sexiest voice, not just
Mhm.
singing, but also her speaking voice. Out of all four of the girls, I think she was the only one that would scare me if I was being yelled at. And I also love the Jisoo Turtle Rabbit Kim. I thought was
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
That was one of my favorite Blackpink scenes ever. And let's close things out with our favorite, both our favorite, is
Oh,
Lisa.
oh, so she's also your bias. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I love Lisa. What it's hard to say because everything about Lisa. So I like the fact that she just has this commitment. Like when she said, "Oh, I want to be a K-pop star." Everybody can dream, but not everyone works so hard and uses all their talent to the fullest in order to make that dream a reality.
right.
And there's really a lot of the perfectionist in her, but at the same time, at the same time that she's like making, doing everything to make her dream come true, she's also there for the others. It's like,
Yeah,
if you watch the Blackpink documentary on Netflix, Light Up the Sky, everybody was saying Lisa is the one who lights up the room. Lisa is the one who, when they're feeling down, she's always there to perk them up.
yeah,
And and, um, and for her to be so passionate and dedicated to achieving her dream while also not stepping not stepping on others, while also bringing others with her. I think that really says a lot about her as a person. And she's so humble. Everybody who meets her, everybody who encounters her, and the way she acts, the way she never fails to promote Thailand, right?
yeah,
Every time she talks about something, if it's her favorite street food, then suddenly it's sold out. Same thing for that the traditional Thai dress, etc., the Thai headwear and all that. Everything she does, it gets sold out. Even her Starbucks, the latest collaboration with Starbucks, the merchant, the item she picked as her favorite got sold out first.
of course.
So that's her magic, but at the same time, she doesn't let herself. She's so very very down to earth and level headed about it. She just said, yeah, I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
enjoying
She
herself.
she looks like when I watch their performances, she looks like she's having the most fun
Yeah,
up there.
yeah.
I have an affinity to Thai culture, so that aspect of her, of course, drew me to her.
Mm.
And she's the one that makes me laugh the most, especially
Yes, exactly.
like you said, when she and Jisoo are together. They're so funny, so funny. I like how silly she gets, and
Yeah,
despite
yeah.
that, I mean, her work ethic is incredible.
Oh
All the
man,
girls, really, though.
all of them. But yeah, Lisa is the one who does. Like she. I remember saying before that when others already stopped practicing, she would still practice like up to 2 a.m. or something, because for her, you might not get a second chance. So
Right.
for her, it was a dream come true. She wasn't gonna take the chance that she wouldn't make it. So, and I'm glad also in her recent interview she was saying that now she's prioritizing her own happiness. It's like if she's not hurting anyone, um,
Yeah.
she's gonna go for her own happiness because it's like, yeah, I mean, come on, she's earned it. she's
Yeah.
done.
She does deserve it. So
And she's also very, very level-headed about fame. You remember that line she had in Light of the Sky? She said, "Yes, one day another group will, a younger group will replace us, will no longer be famous." But I'm paraphrasing, of course, but
yeah.
it doesn't matter because what they will remember is that once upon a time we shone so bright. So to her, it's not like, don't worry, what happens. Just enjoy what we have at the moment.
And to have that awareness at that age is pretty
Yes,
remarkable. So
this is very
good for
remarkable.
her. And I think that's a credit to her parents as well. I don't know, I'm guessing, but it seems
Mhm.
like she was raised correctly.
Very much.
So good for her. Now, Joey, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was awesome
Mhm.
catching up. Guys, if you like this interview and want to see more content, or even if you don't, you should like and subscribe anyway. Um,
Right down there.
yeah. If you have kids, subscribe on their accounts. If you're a kid, subscribe on your parents' accounts. So don't forget to like Joey on Facebook. That's Joey Godzilla Alarilla.
Well, the
That
real story behind this is that I deleted my original Facebook profile. But
ah.
for some reason, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want me to just claim, my own.
I'm
Once
gonna
you,
go. I'm gonna go with the Godzilla because
yeah,
that's your Jisoo
once
Turtle Rabbit Kim. That's
story.
And then please check out Joey's site at krabbycancerchronicles.com. Thank you so much for watching. Joey, why don't you say goodbye to the good people and we'll let them go.
Well, first of all, thank you, Ray. Thank you for our
Oh,
10th anniversary catch up.
yes. Yes.
We still have time this year, to catch up in IRL if you're
Oh,
ever going to.
I'd love to see you in Malaysia. I will try to make that a goal of mine for, yeah.
And thank you everyone for listening to us on RPad TV. This has been my first live stream in a while, so I'm really
Hey,
glad that I got to talk to you guys, and I hope you will also keep watching RPad.TV and visit KrabbyCancerChronicles.com. Thank you
awesome.
very much, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.